A day after all the 41 workers trapped inside Uttarakhand's Silkyari tunnel were rescued, we have their first reactions coming in. Family members of the workers too are heaving a big sigh of relief.
विश्वजीत, आप 41 मजदूरों में से एक थे। हाँ। कैसा रहा आपका अंदर का जब आप फंस गए थे, तो क्या दिल में और दिमाग में चल रहा था?
दिल में और दिमाग में हम लोग को कुछ नहीं, जैसे जब ऊपर से गिरा तो हम लोग को थोड़ा महसूस हुआ कि अब निकलने का प्रयास तो हम लोग का तो बंद हो गया, लेकिन धीरे धीरे हमारी नवजुगा इंजीनियरिंग लिमिटेड कंपनी जो है सो हमारी प्रयास में लगे रहे। हर जगह से व्यवस्था की गई, ऑक्सीजन की व्यवस्था, खाना पीने की व्यवस्था, और बाहर से मशीन जो आई, बाहर से मंगाए गए, देश से विदेश से अपना मशीन मंगाए गए, इंडिया से भी मशीन कुछ आए, ऑस्ट्रेलिया से भी कुछ आए, और इंडिया IDRF वाले आए, SDRF वाले आए। वो लोग सब हमारे देशवासियों, भारतवासियों, पूरा हम लोग को प्रयास में निकालने की कोशिश किया। और मुख्यमंत्री हमारा उत्तराखंड का जो है वो हमारे प्रयास में लगे रहे हम लोग को निकालने के लिए, और हमारे झारखंड के भी चीफ मिनिस्टर भी आए, और इधर प्रधानमंत्री, सब हर व्यवस्था की गई।
अच्छा, खाना पीना कैसा पहुंच रहा था?
खाना पीना हम लोग का जो है सो गिरने के बाद हम लोग को 10, 15, 20 घंटे थोड़ा परेशानी हुई। उसके बाद जो पाइप था हम लोग का, पानी का पाइप, उससे हमारा खाना की व्यवस्था की गई, उसी से हम लोग को खाना मिलता था। उसके बाद थोड़ा 10 दिन होने के बाद फिर बाहर से पाइप का एक जो व्यवस्था की गई, उससे हम लोग खाना, काजू किशमिश, बादाम, रोटी, चावल, दाल, जो भी मिला सही सलामत सब चीज की हम लोग को प्राइवेट की गई।
अब परिवार से बातचीत हो रही है? परिवार कैसा है?
परिवार सब ठीक है। अभी परिवार से बात हो रही थी, बाद में माइक लगाया था, उस माइक से हम लोग बात करवाई गई सबका।
मैं उत्तराखंड की जो पहाड़ प्रॉब्लम थी इसमें फंसा था। हमें वहाँ पे सिर्फ 24 घंटे ही दिक्कत हुई, जिसमें कि खाने को, हवा। उसके बाद हमारी कंपनी ने मेरे को पाइप के द्वारा खाने के लिए काजू, किशमिश, मूढ़ी, जो भी हुआ वो भेजे, और मेहनत करने के बाद 10 दिन के बाद हमें फिर दाल, चावल, रोटी की खाने का मिला। मुझे तो कंपनी से कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, मेरे को वहाँ पे कुछ उतना खास दिक्कत तो नहीं हुई, लेकिन वही है कि जरा दिक्कत हुई 24 घंटे के लिए। और क्या बताऊँ मैं, मैं स्वस्थ हूँ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। मेरा फोटो पास में ही है, मैं बिल्कुल सही हूँ। आप लोग से दुआ है, आपकी मेहनत है, केंद्र सरकार, राज्य सरकार की, जिससे मैं निकल पाया, आज आप लोग के सामने हूँ। नहीं तो अंदर क्या होती है तो मैं ही जानता था, और वहाँ जो कैविटी होती थी उससे हमारे 2 दिन जरा प्रॉब्लम तो हुई, बाकी बात कोई दिक्कत नहीं सर, मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ।
The trapped workers were placed on stretchers fitted with wheels and pulled out via a 57-meter steel pipe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised the courage and patience of the trapped workers. He also hailed the bravado and determination of the rescue personnel. Prime Minister interacted, of course, with the workers.
सबसे पहले तो मैं सभी आपके और आपके सभी साथियों को बधाई देता हूं। एक सुखरूप हम इतने संकट के बाद भी निकल पाए, और मेरे लिए तो बहुत ही खुशी की बात है। मैं शब्दों में वर्णन भी नहीं कर सकता हूं, वरना कुछ भी बुरा हो जाता तो शायद मन को इतनी कैसे संभाल पाते, कहना कठिन था। ये केदारनाथ बाबा की, बद्रीनाथ भगवान की कृपा रही कि हम सब स्वकुशल आप लोग आए हैं, और 16-17 दिन समय कम नहीं होता है। आप लोगों ने बहुत बड़ी हिम्मत दिखाई, और एक दूसरे का हौसला बनाए रखा, ये सबसे बड़ी बात है। क्योंकि ऐसे समय यानी रेलवे के डिब्बे में भी साथ साथ चलते हैं तो कभी न कभी तो तू मैं हो जाती है, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी आपने सारा धैर्य रखा। मैं लगातार जानकारियां लेते रहता था, मुख्यमंत्री जी से भी लगातार संपर्क में रहता था, मेरे पीएमओ के भी अफसर वहां आकर के बैठे थे, तो जानकारियां रहती थी, लेकिन चिंता तो कम होती नहीं है। जानकारियों से तो समाधान तो होता नहीं है। लेकिन मैं सचमुच में आपके माध्यम से वहां जितने भी हमारे श्रमिक साथी निकल करके आए हैं, सबको और उनके परिवार का पुण्य भी काम आया है, ताकि इस संकट की घड़ी से बाहर निकल करके आए हैं। आप कुछ करना चाहेंगे?
जी सर, मैं कुछ कहना चाहूंगा सर।
हाँ, बताइए।
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि सर हम लोग आज का दिन लेके सर 18 दिन तक टनल में हम लोग सब फंसा था सर। लेकिन हम लोग को एक दिन भी कुछ ऐसा एहसास नहीं हुआ कि हम लोग को कुछ ऐसी कमजोरी हो रही है या कुछ ऐसा घबराहट हो रहा है। ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि सर हम लोग 41 मेंबर्स थे सर, और सब अदर स्टेट से सर। लेकिन ऐसी कोई बात नहीं, हम लोग सब भाई के जैसा रहते थे सर। किसी को भी कुछ हो तो हम लोग एक साथ रहते थे, कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम होने से कोई दिक्कत नहीं था। खाना आता था, खाना भी सब मिलजुल के बांट के सब एक जगह भी हम लोग खाते थे सर। और रात में खाना खाने के बाद भी जितने भी हमारे आदमी थे सबको मैं बोलता था कि चलो एक बार टहलते हैं। मतलब टनल का जो हमारा लेंथ है सर 2.5 मीटर हो गया सर, ठीक है। वेस्ट का वेट 2.5 किलोमीटर हो गया सर। उसमें हम लोग टहलते थे सर। और मॉर्निंग का जब समय होता था तो हम अपने बंधुओं से बोलते थे कि देखिए हम लोग खा रहे हैं पी रहे हैं और तो हम लोग को कुछ काम है नहीं अंदर में, तो थोड़ा योगा वगैरह ये सब मॉर्निंग वॉक थोड़ा करते हैं अंदर ही में। बाहर में तो जाने का कोई ऐसा है चीज है नहीं, तो अंदर में हम लोग अपना घूमते टहलते थे। और हम सर सबसे शुक्रिया अदा करेंगे सर उत्तराखंड सरकार की सर, जिसने हमारे साथ इतना अच्छा व्यवहार किया सर। और हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री धामी साहब हमसे बराबर कांटेक्ट करते थे सर, उनका भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करेंगे सर। वो हम लोग का बराबर हालचाल लेते थे सर, फोन करते थे। और आज भी जब हम लोग टनल से बाहर निकले तो धामी साहब ने हम लोग को गले लगाया, और बीके साहब भी थे सर, उन्होंने भी हम लोग को तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा किया और हम लोग को गले लगाया सर।
हाँ, इस बार तो बीके सिंह भी पूरा समय वहां रहे, और उनकी जो सोल्जर वाली ट्रेनिंग है ना, वो पूरी ट्रेनिंग इस बार उन्होंने दिखाई।
जी सर, जी सर।
लेकिन मैंने सुना कि आप में से कोई योगा भी जानता था, तो योगा वगैरह भी करते थे।
जी सर, वही मॉर्निंग में सर योगा वगैरह सिखाता था सर हम लोग का करना। अंदर में तो कुछ खाने पीने के अलावा और तो कुछ काम है नहीं सर। तो मॉर्निंग में हम लोग मॉर्निंग वॉक करते थे और योगा कुछ करते थे कि आदमी का सेहत बना रहे।
आपके साथ और कौन है जो बात करेंगे?
मेरे साथ है सर गब्बर सिंह नेगी सर, टनल फोरमैन है सर।
हाँ, गब्बर सिंह नमस्ते।
सर जय हिंद, राम राम, नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार नमस्कार गब्बर सिंह, जय हिंद। देखो गब्बर सिंह, मैं तुम्हें तो विशेष रूप से बधाई देता हूं, क्योंकि मुझे डेली रिपोर्ट हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी बताते थे कि आप दोनों ने जो लीडरशिप दी और जो टीम स्पिरिट दिखाया, मुझे तो लगता है शायद कभी किसी यूनिवर्सिटी को एक केस स्टडी तैयार करना पड़ेगा कि गब्बर सिंह नेगी गांव का व्यक्ति, उसमें वो कौन सी लीडरशिप क्वालिटी है कि इससे संकट के समय में भी अपनी पूरी टीम को संभाला। और आप तो लोकल होने के कारण आप बहुत आसानी से चीजें समझा भी पा रहे थे। तो मैं आपकी तरफ से सुनना चाहूंगा गब्बर।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, थैंक यू सर आप लोगों का। सर ये सब आप लोगों का आशीर्वाद था सर, आप लोगों ने हमारा हौसला बढ़ाया सर।
What a fabulous morning this is. What a fabulous day when we are welcoming and actually celebrating the arrival of the 41 workers who were stuck in the tunnel for 17 long days. What a successful story. And like Prime Minister Modi said, it's about team spirit. It's about coming together. It's about not giving up. And to speak more on this, Dr. Naveen Kumar Bhatnagar, former DIG NDRF, is now joining me live on this beautiful morning. Dr. Bhatnagar, a very, very warm welcome to you on our platform. I want to ask you that NDRF is of course very well trained, you know, to cope with conditions such as this, natural mishaps or disasters. We saw the kind of immense contribution you made during the unfortunate Odisha train accident, whether it was Biparjoy, the cyclones across India. But I want you to focus on how did NDRF rather, the team, really synchronize to get those workers out yesterday on a historic evening, as it were?
So it's depend upon our trading. We'll thankful government that such a nice organization was this made in 2004. NDRF was constructed. So a well-trained this force which I was leading long back. So and it's a good caliber and shows so many this type of rescue operation in time to time. Not only in India, even Asia also. They have given the task and successfully they have succeeded and got the good name of India as well as the organization. So we will say that now we are perfect, but still now in this case we have felt that there is so many problems were we faced, and we want to make it more perfect also in the future and to procure other equipments also which was required previously, and we were thinking now is a challenge and we will procure the other rescue operations also, so
Dr.
that
Bhatnagar,
in future,
you know, yeah, it's always good for teams to sit across the table and figure out how better they can do it the next time around. I mean, that is what growth is all about, that you learn from, you know, your past experiences. Talk a little about the challenges you faced, because everybody, geologists there, whether it were army personnel, everyone had one thing to say: it looks easy, but it's extremely tough. Geologists were saying how youngest mountain in the world, the Himalayas, to do anything there is a major challenge. So Dr. Bhatnagar, speak about the challenges the NDRF faced in the tunnel rescue operations, sir.
so it's a great challenge because it's a multiple challenge was there in this thing, which we were planning, thinking that it is easy when this auger pipe was going smoothly, but in in the way the machine was stuck is blades, this cutting blades, diamond cutters was there, it was damaged badly. So it was another challenge for us how to go to inside that particular pipe of 3 feet and to cut down the cutter blades and take out these blades out. And again, it was thinking that how we can proceed further. So the army people were called who were expert in this rat mining. So they were called and they have succeeded. Rest of the part of about 1.5 meter means you can say 5 meter, not 1.5, 5 meter. So they have dig it day and night. They have worked and they got succeeded. And after that, our role was started. That we went inside that particular this thing pipe and approached the people. Then again challenge was there. That pipe was on the height of about 5 meter and both the sides. So it was not easy for everybody to climb up and come out from that pipe. So again platform was prepared. First NDRF people went inside, and the platform was prepared from inside as well as outside also. And when platform was ready, so we have taken out the victims one by one. But it's a good sign that everybody was healthy. We were planning to take out the people in the lying position in the trolley, but the workers shown the courage and immediately they crawled in the pipe like our people and they came out. So it's a really joyful moment for me and my force people and other people also.
Right.
So, Indians
yeah,
also.
absolutely. I mean, salute to everyone, all the rescue teams who were so passionate about the entire operation. You know, if specifically, would you like to tell the viewers, Dr. Bhatnagar, that what was the role of the NDRF? Because we saw SDRF there, we saw also many engineering companies which were there, we saw foreign experts over there, we saw geologists there, we saw the army, the Madras sappers there, of course. So I want to ask you as to what was the specific role of the NDRF, Dr. Bhatnagar, for the viewers.
Yeah. So our role was to rescue the people from the danger. But in this case, the experts' opinion was must, and engineering equipments and other things were must to help us. They all gave us help, whatever help we were requiring, especially the way which was stuck. So it was cleared by the army and the red miners. It was cleared, and the role of NDRF was to approach the people who were stuck there and to pacify them. And one doctor was also there with us, and he checked the health of the people, and all were well. So we take out the man from that particular area.
Bhatnagar,
So,
Dr. Bhatnagar, please correct me if I am wrong. I heard that there were stretchers, to bring out the workers.
Yes.
Apparently, a few of them walked on their own. Is that right, or all of them were brought out in stretchers?
Actually, they are supposed to come out in a stretcher,
Haan,
but their health condition was very good. I tell you, they were as good as we people outside. So they are in the very good condition, and they all told that नहीं sir, हम लोग तो ऐसे ही जाएंगे. Likewise, वो crawling करके, like our NDRF people, they crawled and they came out within no time. But naturally, in other cases, it was must to take out the people in the this structure, moving structure. But in this condition, all people were healthy. Their condition was very good because doctor was there inside. He has checked, so it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
ये बताइए sir, that when you come out of a tunnel or a cave, I mean, when we go to a movie theater and we go out, we can't actually face the sun, the light for some time. Did they have that kind of problem of adjusting to the outside world, or nothing like that?
Yes, really. Actually, they were having the enough space in that particular area, about 2 kilometers. Pakka area was there. So they have done yoga and other things. But it's fact that without sun and all these things, they were having the anemia of vitamin D and other minerals also. So it was again treated here in the outside in the AIMS and other hospitals. So no problem, it happens. And especially for we people, when we are entering in the space like this tunnel and all these things, we require the breathing apparatus set, BSS, oxygen mask, all these things. With the help of these things, instruments, we can do the rescue in any type of circumstances and any conditions we can do. But here,
Dr. Bhatnagar, were they kind of confused? What happens is that when you are confined to a particular space, even in a, like Prime Minister was saying that even एक रेलवे की बोगी में अगर कुछ लोग फंस जाएं तो बाहर निकलकर एक अजीबो गरीब, there is a feeling of, confusion. These people were in a tunnel for 17 long days. When they came out, of course, they told NDRF, no, we'll crawl and we'll come out. You said they were in very good health. But what about their mental condition? Did you notice, was anything noticed about them that they were not up to the mark, which is natural, of course?
Oh, naturally, very good. So in so many rescue operations, we felt it, and we have experienced, as you told, the mental stress, mental trauma, all these things happens. But here in this case, God gave them a power. And the space main problem or main issue was this, that they were having the 2 kilometer walkable distance, pakka distance with them, and yoga teacher was there. They were given the adequate proteins, diets and all these things. So due to that, they have developed their immunity, and they have controlled their vision, their mind and all these things. So there was no problem. All are healthy mentally and physically also. But you are saying right that somewhere it gives a really mental torture, mental trauma and all these things. We have felt in so many disasters and in so many cases, we have experienced ourselves. So it happens. So no problem.
But then,
all is well.
Yeah, all is well. You are absolutely right. All is well that ends well. And many thanks to NDRF, many thanks to all the rescue teams, and salute to all of you, and also salute to those 41 people who are mentally and physically so strong. Dr. Naveen Bhatnagar, such a pleasure for you to join us on this broadcast.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
The Israel-Hamas war has now entered its 54th day. Let's get you the latest update from the war front. Today is the last day of Israel-Hamas truce. Israel has freed 30 Palestinians as Hamas has also released 10 Israelis and 2 foreigners. The chiefs of CIA and Mossad meet the Qatari Prime Minister to discuss the extension of truce. Hamas accuses Israel of blatant breach of the ceasefire in northern Gaza. Israel raids Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank. Israel's far-right security minister urges Benjamin Netanyahu to end the truce. The Israeli military is using the truce to strengthen readiness, according to Herzi Halevi. Elon Musk promises to wear the symbol of Gaza hostages. 14,854 Palestinians, including 6,150 children, have so far been killed in the Gaza offensive. It's the last day of the Israel-Hamas truce. 12 hostages are back in Israel in the latest exchange, according to the Israeli government. The hostages include 10 Israelis and 2 foreign nationals, both from Thailand. The Palestinian terrorist group Hamas and allied group Islamic Jihad freed 12 hostages on Tuesday, bringing the total release since the truce began on Friday to 81. Hamas and Israel were expected to release more hostages and prisoners on Wednesday, which is the last day of a prolonged 6-day truce in the Gaza Strip conflict, according to reports. Israeli media has reported that Israel received a list of hostages which is expected to be released by Hamas on Wednesday. Israel said the truce could be extended further, provided Hamas continues to free at least 10 Israeli hostages per day. The leaders of the CIA and Israel's intelligence agency Mossad met Qatar's Prime Minister in Doha on Tuesday to discuss the next phase of the potential deal in the ongoing ceasefire in Gaza. Take a look.
12 more hostages were released by Hamas on Tuesday in their ongoing ceasefire with Israeli forces. Israel's military confirmed that 10 Israeli citizens and 2 foreign nationals were on its territory. This Hamas video is said to show the handover to the Red Cross. 30 Palestinian prisoners were released by Israel in exchange. This began as a 4-day truce, was extended to 6 days, and now it's possible that it could stretch even further. A source has told Reuters that the heads of the CIA and Israeli intelligence met with Qatar's Prime Minister in Doha over what was described as the next phase of a potential deal. Egyptian officials were also present. The total number of hostages released by Hamas stands at 81 as of Tuesday. The 60 Israelis freed are all women and children. The reunions have been tearful and joyous for some families on both sides. Others don't know the fate of their loved ones.
Maybe it's part of a psychological war against us. I have no idea. It's working really good because the last 4 days has been completely nightmare for us.
Ofri Bibas has been pressing for the return of her brother's family, which includes the youngest of those taken by the Islamist militants. Kafir Bibas is only 10 months old.
My only brother was kidnapped with his entire family from their home in New Oz on the 7th. His wife Shiri and 2 boys. Not today. The reason we are talking to you today is because tomorrow is the last day of the current ceasefire and the current deal that Israeli have for releasing hostages. and they are still not they still haven't been released.
Israel has said it's open to continuing the extended ceasefire further if Hamas continues to release at least 10 hostages per day. But with dwindling numbers of women and children in captivity, extending it beyond Wednesday may require Hamas to release some male hostages for the first time.
Israeli forces and Hamas terrorists engaged in a clash in northern Gaza on Tuesday in what was described by both sides as a violation of the ongoing humanitarian pause in fighting. The Israel Defense Forces or IDF claimed that it detonated 3 explosive devices near Israeli troops in 2 different locations. The IDF said in one of the locations, and I quote, "Terrorists also opened fire at the troops who responded with fire. A number of soldiers were lightly injured during the incident," close quote. Meanwhile, Hamas accused Israel in a telegram statement of a clear violation of the truce agreement, calling the clash a field skirmish and a violation that fighters dealt with. Hamas in a statement said it is committed to the truce as long as the enemy has committed to it. The Islamist terrorist organization also called on the mediators to pressure the occupation to adhere to all the terms of the truce on the ground and in the air. The IDF, meanwhile, claimed several soldiers were lightly hurt after being attacked by Hamas in the northern Gaza Strip. The IDF announced the deaths of its 3 soldiers who were abducted by Hamas during its deadly attack on southern Israel. On 7th of October, the soldiers have been identified as Staff Sergeant Tomer Yaakov Ahimaaz, who was 20 years old, from Lehavim, Sergeant Kirill Brodsky, who was all of 19, from Ramat Gan, and Sergeant Shaked Dahan, who was 19 years old, also from Afullah. The military's chief rabbi declared the soldiers' deaths based on several findings obtained by the IDF. The 3 have been listed as fallen soldiers held hostage by a terror group. Their death brings the toll of fallen IDF soldiers since 7th of October to 395. And in other international stories, Donald Trump has pledged to escalate his efforts to tighten immigration policies if he returns to the White House in 2024. Trump has not ruled out the possibility of reinstating his controversial policy of separating families at the US-Mexico border. Despite this, key allies who might assume roles in Trump's prospective administration as immigration enforcers are exercising caution. According to insights from 5 former Trump officials and conservative associates interviewed, there is an apprehension about implementing a revamped version of the 2018 zero-tolerance policy, which resulted in the separation of several children from their parents at the southwestern border. These sources express concern about the potential resurgence of the significant public backlash the original policy triggered. As the current leading Republican candidate for the 2024 presidential nomination, Donald Trump is making border security a focal point in his campaign. Moving on, Americans for Prosperity, the political arm of the influential Koch network, formally announced their endorsement of Nikki Haley's candidacy. This endorsement brings with it a commitment of extensive support from the nationwide coalition of activists and substantial financial backing. Their aim is to propel Haley ahead of former President Donald Trump in the Grand Old Party's primary contest. The group's focus on defeating Trump stems from their belief that he would lose to President Joe Biden in November 2024 election based on Biden's victory over Trump in the year 2020. Highlighting internal polling and grassroots feedback, Americans for Prosperity assert that Haley, the former UN ambassador, stands as the most viable candidate to challenge and overcome Trump in the Republican primaries. Moreover, their internal data consistently positions Haley as the strongest contender against Joe Biden in a general election. News coming in from Bangladesh. The Human Rights Watch has reported that Bangladesh has initiated an extensive and forceful crackdown on opposition parties with the aim of eliminating competition in the lead-up to the 2024 general elections. The crackdown involves the arrest of nearly 10,000 activists, many of whom are affiliated with the prominent Bangladeshi Nationalist Party or BNP. Additionally, a substantial number of individuals are now facing charges in connection with these actions. Reports say there is evidence that security forces are accountable for employing disproportionate force, conducting widespread arbitrary arrests, engaging in enforced disappearances, carrying out acts of torture and participating in extrajudicial killings during a recent surge of election-related violence. Moving on, in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, a concerning development emerges as the wife of Ukraine's intelligence chief is diagnosed with heavy metals poisoning. Mariana Budanova, spouse of Lieutenant General Krylo Budanov, head of the military intelligence agency known as GUR, is currently receiving treatment in the hospitals. Reports are suggesting that other agency employees were also exposed but remain asymptomatic. Budanov, renowned for accurately forecasting Russia's full-scale invasion, has survived multiple assassination attempts, including a thwarted car bombing. News coming in from Finland. The country has announced a 2-week closure of its entire border with Russia to curb a surge in asylum seekers. The Finnish government cites an unusually high influx of around 900 asylum seekers from several countries, including Kenya, Morocco, Pakistan, Somalia, Syria and Yemen, entering from Russia in November. Here's a report.
Desperate humans, one of the hybrid warfare weapons Moscow frequently uses to try to intimidate its neighbors. This time, the deployment of hundreds of inadequately dressed asylum seekers in Finland has prompted the government to close border crossings with Russia.
Even though the numbers have not been so significant on their own, Finland wants to send a clear message that this is not acceptable.
Officials say the latest arrivals admit getting Russian assistance.
Apparently, the route is that they fly or are flown to Moscow, where they get help, probably for a fee.
This reverses long-standing cooperation in which Russian border officials would prevent people without visas from going further. Now they're reportedly driving the groups of mostly young men to the border area, giving them bicycles, although crossing by both bike and foot are banned, and in some cases even physically pushing people across the border if they show reluctance. The Russian government calls such accusations groundless and Finland's border restrictions absurd.
We hope that common sense will prevail in Helsinki, and they will abandon destructive ideas like the total closure of the border.
Helsinki has asked for backup of 60 officers from the European Union's border control agency Frontex.
To Russia we say, we will not let you divide us. To Finland we say, the European Union is behind you.
Under international law, Finland must keep open at least one land route for asylum seekers to lodge applications. When the government closed the 4 crossings in southern Finland, it kept 2 more open to facilitate this process, but warned more countermeasures may be taken. The situation could soon become more difficult, both practically and politically. Even if the number of arrivals doesn't escalate dramatically, the temperature is dropping.
If Russia indeed starts to send people, let's say elderly people, sick people, people who are in bad shape in these weather conditions, who could potentially even die. If that would be the case, that's toxic politically on the Finnish side, and that's going to be a test for resilience.
But opening the gates would also be dangerous.
That also sends the signal that at the end of the day, we can be pressured to do what Russia wants.
By the end of this interview, Henry Vanhanen was getting news alerts that asylum seekers in poor physical condition were indeed turning up at the border, a dilemma for the Finnish government made no less precarious just because it was predictable.
Prince William, a patron of the charity TUS since 2005, bestowed awards on 3 individuals at the ceremony, highlighting the accomplishments of conservationists and wildlife rangers in Africa. In his remarks, Prince William emphasized the disproportionate impact of a warming planet on Africa's people and biodiversity, noting that those most affected are often not the main drivers of these impacts.
It is also a reminder that Africa, its people, and its biodiversity are disproportionately affected by the impacts of a warming planet. Impacts which are, for the most part, not driven by those most affected. There must be no let-up in our collective efforts to stem the terrifying loss of species and habitats we're all bearing witness to. Thank you for being here tonight to celebrate the remarkable individuals that are leading those efforts to ensure we all can live on a healthier planet. I wish you all an enjoyable evening.
Meanwhile, Australia gears up to ban disposable vapes in January as part of a crackdown on the rising popularity of nicotine-filled devices amongst the youth, announced Health Minister Butler. March will see an expansion of the ban to encompass all non-therapeutic vapes, requiring importers of medical vapes to obtain permits from the Office of Drug Control. Additionally, a legislative package will allocate an extra $75 million to the Australian Border Force and the Therapeutic Goods Administration to bolster enforcement of these new regulations. Take a look.
Next month, the government will be presenting to the Governor-General a regulation for his signature to prohibit the import of all disposable vapes from the 1st of January next year, from New Year's Day. These are the vapes that are deliberately sold to our kids. These are the vapes that have pink unicorns on them, bubblegum flavouring, disguised in order for them to hide them in their pencil cases. This is not a therapeutic good to help hardened smokers kick the habit. This is a good that is deliberately targeted at our kids to recruit them to nicotine addiction and then to cigarette smoking. Still the biggest preventable cause of death in Australia, and we are determined to stamp it out.
Greek Prime Minister Mr. Takis accuses British counterpart Rishi Sunak of cancelling a scheduled meeting amid an ongoing dispute over the Parthenon sculptures, a contentious issue that has strained relations between the two countries for centuries now. Take a look at this report.
Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis accused his British counterpart Rishi Sunak of cancelling a Tuesday meeting in an ongoing row over the Parthenon sculptures, which have been a sore subject between the two countries for centuries. Mitsotakis said in a statement, quote, "I express my annoyance that the British Prime Minister cancelled our planned meeting just hours before it was due to take place. Greece has repeatedly asked Britain to permanently return the 2,500-year-old sculptures. A British diplomat took them from the Parthenon temple in the early 19th century. Mitsotakis told the BBC on Sunday it was not a question of ownership, but reunification, and that you would not, quote, cut the Mona Lisa in half. When asked about Mitsotakis' statement about the meeting, Sunak's office said Britain's relationship with Greece was, quote, hugely important, and that the countries needed to work together on global challenges. It added that Sunak's deputy was available to meet Mitsotakis to discuss the issue instead. The British government has long ruled out giving up ownership of the marbles and maintains they were legally acquired. The Greek government has been in talks with the British Museum on a possible loan deal, but a spokesperson for Sunak said there were no plans to return the sculptures.
Biotech company Interstellar Labs says their controlled environment capsule would not only make agriculture more sustainable, but could also open the doors for crops to one day be grown in space. This is called a Biopod. Listen in.
Imagine a way to grow fresh produce anywhere in the world, no matter the season or the weather. Biotech company Interstellar Lab says it's possible. They say their controlled environment capsule would not only make agriculture more sustainable, but it could also open the door for crops to one day be grown in space. This is the Biopod. It was inspired by space technologies to offer a totally sealed production system. That means it can grow plants much more efficiently than a traditional greenhouse. Barbara Belvisi founded the company in 2018.
Biopod is like a super advanced greenhouse that will collect CO2 from the atmosphere, recycle all the water, fully optimize the conditions. So not only we will accelerate plant growth, but more specifically will trigger the production of specific molecule inside the plant. When you do that, you use less resources. You have less impact, CO2 impact on, buying flowers from another country, bringing it to another country and make the extraction. So it's trying to give a tool for farmers to relocalize production. And by this very large range of climate that we can do, then allowing them to grow plants they usually cannot grow.
The Biopod is about 16 feet tall with a surface area of almost 600 square feet. A combination of technologies ensures a balance of climate, nutrition, and light conditions. It also uses AI-based management and monitoring software. Biopod's unique ellipsoid shape helps with airflow, heating, and cooling, and also makes it rapidly deployable. It requires no foundation or access to water. Belvisi says the company is working with NASA to design a cube for use in space and another version for the moon.
Over time, food will degrade in space, so NASA was looking for a solution to grow mushroom, insects, vegetables, some microgreens, and that's what we've been designing. So really focusing on recreating the climate so we can cover some of the gaps of the astronaut in space.
Keeping astronauts well-nourished for extended periods has long posed a challenge for NASA. The need for self-contained, low-waste food production requiring minimal resources has become more important as the space agency sets its sights on the moon and beyond.
I don't believe in plan B. There is only one plan, which is plan A, which is the Earth. And we learn how to preserve life on Earth, and then this technology can help preserving it here and then bring it to space. But space is not an escape of the Earth. Mars is not a very habitable planet, so we're going to go there to explore, but the plan A is our planet.
Belvisi is heading to Dubai for this year's UN climate conference to drum up interest in the project and seek investors. The firm plans to sell each unit for $350,000 once it's commercialized.
A host of K-pop stars attended the Mnet Asian Music Awards in Japan. Here are some of the visuals.
그야말로 이슈도 신드롬을 일으켰는데요. 왼쪽 끝에부터 한번 들어주시면 소로가 스피드가 등장했습니다. 네, 정면 보시고 네, 멋있게 네, 자, 네, 가겠습니다. 네, 그리고 가운데 보시면 같이 드라마를 넘나드는 가자 오른쪽 통해서 같이 열기를 항상 원하고 있습니다. 손 한 번 흔들어 보고 진혁 씨 여기서 굉장히 또 가져도 오랜만에 만나요. 네, 다 같이 가운데 보면서 손을 흔들어 주시겠습니다. 네, 왼쪽이요. 얼마 전 드라마 소속서 거짓말을 통해 네, 이번에 오른쪽이요. 하나원을 레드카펫 연예인으로 만들고 있는 자태 차승원님이 등장하고 있습니다. 정말 연예인 같은
ごいワクワクしてますね。授賞式もあるので、あといろんなグループの方も見れるので楽しみです。とても。
ファンクラブからやったよね。
それ最速選考だったんです。
一回落ちたよ。
こうやって自分の推してるグループが出てくれるのも嬉しいですけど、それが日本に来てくれることで私たちも実際に現場に行って応援できるので、また機会あったら日本にも来てほしいし INI にも出てほしいなって思うので、今回すごい貴重な機会なので楽しみたいなって思います。
And with that, it's a wrap. But for all the news and analysis, keep watching News 9 Live.
ChatGPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors